Hello folks, Jason Chrisman, JC's Bees, your Central Ohio beekeeper. You know this golden plant behind me that you see in the field, that's goldenrod. A lot of people think that causes allergies, and that's not the case. It's mistaken for ragweed. This yellow stuff is not ragweed, folks. Goldenrod is one of the last food sources for our pollinators, and that includes honeybees. And if you're a beekeeper, this plant's going to be really important to you. Now, I get a lot of questions this time of year. Should I leave my supers on or should I remove them? Should I be feeding? Should I start treating for mites now? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. It's the middle of September. You should have already started to treat your mites. You should be working to lower those numbers so we can raise healthy bees to go into winter. If you're one of these people that have dragged your feet, you need to have time to raise healthy bees before winter, and just because you're treating later, well, that's going to damper that, and we don't want that. We want the bees to be healthy going into winter. Right now I'm seeing a lot of pollen come in from this goldenrod, and it's a bright orange pollen. What they're going to do with that pollen is they're going to use it to raise those winter bees, and that's crucial right now. Now, as far as leaving the supers on, I think I'd probably go ahead and pull them. Unless you're in an area that's got acre after acre after acre after acre of this goldenrod, you're probably not going to collect much of a surplus honey in the fall. Now, that's just my experience, but you see, I've got all this goldenrod behind me, but it doesn't all bloom at once. You got early varieties and late varieties, and that kind of dampers the flow I get in the fall. And I've learned that if I'm going to leave supers on, then I'm probably just going to be taking them off empty. So it's to my advantage to go ahead and get them off, start feeding the bees, and when I say feeding, I'm talking maybe a 2-to-1 mixture, and that's going to be 2 parts sugar to 1 part water. That's going to make it a little bit thicker, and it's going to make it easier for the bees in the long run, because if you feed them 1-to-1 sugar syrup, there's going to be a lot of excess moisture in there that they're going to have to evaporate. And that's just a lot of extra work for the bees. So if we can do our part and feed 2-to-1, you're going to save them a little extra work, and that's probably a pretty good thing. So as we look across the pasture here, you can see it is just loaded with goldenrod. And this is a cow pasture that I didn't really use a whole lot this year, just because, well, this particular pasture, there's no water spigots in. So in order for me to get water to it, I've got to run from a spigot clear over there against the tree line, all the way across and over into this pasture. And I just didn't do it. You're talking about 300 foot of hose, and what I'll do is I'll probably let the cows in there for the winter. I know it don't look like there's a whole lot of grass in there, but underneath of that goldenrod, there's some nice forage for the cows. So I'll leave it for now, let the pollinators work it, and then after they're done and it's starting to turn brown, I'll move in the cows. This is ironweed. I actually had a friend on Facebook share a picture this week, and I believe it was a memory. It was an old photo from maybe last year or the year before. And it was goldenrod in bloom, or ironweed in bloom, right next to the goldenrod. And it was actually pretty to see the purple flowers of the ironweed right up against the yellow or gold of the goldenrod. That's something I've never seen, and I guess it's because our goldenrod's usually dying out when the goldenrod's blooming. So I thought that was weird. And he's up in Michigan, so I don't know if the weather has a play on that or what the deal is, but I thought it was interesting. So let's recap here. We get our supers off. Let's start feeding. Let's work on lowering the mite count and treating them mites if we haven't already. And if you already have, it's a good idea to continue to do some kind of a treatment, whether it's oxalic acid vapors or something to that extent, to keep the mite count low. Because when the bees are out foraging on this goldenrod, they're going to bump into other bees, and they may not have a low mite count. And that's when a mite could transfer from one of them bees over to one of your bees, and it comes back to the hive, and poof, your numbers start to go up again. So there you go. Hope that's helpful for you. Have any questions or comments? Leave them down below. Now, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I strongly encourage you do that. And I'd like to also encourage you to come over and check out my new community, Beekeeping Blueprint. For less than a cup of coffee, you can join this community, and it's a one-time membership fee. So you pay it once, you're in forever. And there's a lot of great conversation continuing from the comments below this video on over on Beekeeping Blueprint. So if it's something you're interested in, look for the Beekeeping Blueprint down below, and you can follow it right over and get signed up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.